See if I can get her in here. Get myself in here. I'm going to start this over a little bit. Sorry about that, folks.
Family, friends, and foes. Activate. Yeah. Squash East Side. Shade Black. Chico paying 6 million. I said I'm I can everything. Million trust percent. What? Everything. That traps. One with everything. Overcome. That means I'm one for all. One for the family. Nothing. That's why I give you transformation.
Okay, greetings again. I am Eliheru Stanley Xi. I wanted to share with you this, our second press conference. I got started and came to realize that I wasn't recording this and we need to record it. So I apologize to anyone who is listening right now. And, you know, we have to kind of like start back from the top because basically we need to get this recorded so that we can upload it and to meet the protocol requirements as an assembly, you know, and so I have to start over. But this starting over, what it is, this is the second press conference, a public notice to announce the expiration of 2 contracts of rule held by the deep state. Okay. Now, let me make this statement again. The statement is that on January 25th, 2022, which is about 6 days ago, the self-described guardian of the planet, aka Kimberly Ann Gogan, released a video which announced the expiration of 2 celestial contracts that, according to her, one of them has been in play for 3 millenniums since the time of King Solomon, and has been affecting all the people on the earth since that time. This contract was, according to her statement, the same that gave control to the demons, the demagogues, that is the hybrids of humanity, who include the elite of the world, who wield the power in the principal seats of power and rule over the earth. It has been these warlords that comprise the criminal mafias, the elitisms, such as the white supremacist 13 notorious families and their trilateral commissions that include their organizations like the Black Sun, Skull and Bones, Black Pope, and the Illuminati, and all the Masonic orders of Lucifer, and so on. This bloodline has been setting the global agenda of war, famine, death, and hell in the world, and have been the primary causers of war, death, and hell on the planet for a very long time. They have put everybody's life in jeopardy, and all that includes all life and human life, but especially the indigenous Aboriginal peoples of America, Asia, and Africa, and the whole world in general. They have caused the greatest crimes against men of all races and civilizations. They are the reason for what we know as the Great Tribulation. And we're going to get a little bit into that. And there are those who are interested in hearing, for those who are interested in hearing all this stuff in her own words, you can go visit the site, which is called the United Network site. I'm gonna go here and see if I can give you a link or a little bit of that. This is the United Network site. This is the particular video that we're talking about. You have to be a member of the United Network to see this, or we can set up, we're going to set up hopefully we can try to set up a link on our own website that you can just click in and get to hear it. But I'm not sure if that'll work yet, but we're going to try to do it that way, so that you can look at it. Okay. Now, one of the other things I want to share with you right now, as this is our second press conference, is the ideal that, what did I do? Something that I need to do. Escape that. Of why this is all what's happening here. Okay, like I said, this is our website. That's our seal. It's IAPA Charter Ohio de jure Assembly seal. We established it in July of 2021 as far as the Ohio de jure charter part, but the charter has been in existence since 2018. Okay, this is our website again. Wanted to show you that the charter is a declaration of self-governance of indigenous Aboriginal people, and its mission is to manifest the truth, full disclosure, full employment, and to assist in the full planetary restoration to the natural sovereignty, spirituality, identity, and histories, religions and cultures and practices, customs and behaviors of indigenous peoples on this planet, to promote peace and balance through the pursuit of ma'at, which we define as material acquisition, achievement, and transmutation, self-defense, self-awareness, and participation in the new reality or the key integrated monetary system, global financial system, which is connected to the global repository. Okay, and to educate and assist all IAPA and Ohioans in general about their natural sovereignty and their right to self-governance through the formation of assemblies, and to publish transparent guides on the transition from the old global corporate system to the new reality and the new framework of idealism. This is a word that I think Kimberly and Gogan kind of made up, but what it's supposed to mean is self-governance, where all the people of the earth are restored to their Aboriginal estates, cultures, customs, traditions, as sovereign persons, and finally to educate and train all Ohio de jure assembly membership on the needs and the responsibilities of self-governance. The IAPA Charter is a sovereign person's declaration to all for all. I am sovereign. Now, these here are just the legal things that we have put public notices out about back in July to let the world know that, we are forming a new body of governance. We did not form a new government. Understand that the existing governments under the corporate system, even though it is expired and defunded by the Guardian, they still are out here, playing that role. We're not here to, march on City Hall or the Capitol or anything like that. They can do them. We're just doing us. In other words, a sovereign being is a sovereign being. You are a sovereign being. You don't have to go downtown and register to them that you're a sovereign being. You're a sovereign being from birth. And this right here is a declaration of independence of living beings on earth. This is part of the whole life force thing, this was released on January 5th of 2021. And so I want to go through this because basically this will give you a background for what we're trying to say in terms of the deep state, how they were fired and everything like that. But before I do this, let me go back to this announcement, which is the release of this press release that was given, so that you can see that what we're talking about is just not something we made up, but it's something that actually exists. And basically, it was here, and we are just as an assembly, one of the assemblies of the world, IAPA Charter Ohio de jure assembly. We're here as an assembly responding to this announcement. Okay, this was done on January 21st, 2021. Like I said, it's about a year and 9 days ago now, but it's not that old. But what it says is announcing the ratification of Kimberly Ann Gogan as interim head of state until such time as the peace is restored on the planet during the time of the interim government. Global Intelligence Agency serves as the intelligence agencies to the head of state until each government can form its own structures for protection and security of land. An eviction notice has been duly served upon all occupying offices of the United States government, past, present, future, real, presumed, self-appointed, or elected, to vacate the government and government-related offices, both physical and occupational, before January 31st, 2021. Now, we know that did not happen. You still got President Biden up there talking like he's doing something, and you still got all the Congress up there, and everybody, they never announced this on CNN or anything like that. So everybody is basically still on that blue pill business and drinking that same Kool-Aid. But all the funds are officially curtailed to all these offices of the former government, including but not limited to the office of President, Congress, all NGO agencies, including but not limited to the Federal Reserve, IRS, FBI, CIA, FDA, CPS, NASA, NSA, DSHS, DOJ, EPA, AMA, and all related staff. The people herewith relieve you, these agencies, the occupying government, of its related offices and staff and all duties. You no longer serve the people in any capacity. So I want to show you that, because this is saying that the United States government was basically fired. And now the people, which is you, are in the driver's seat. Interim offices have been activated to fulfill the needs, critical needs. The ratification of Kimberly Ann Gogan as interim head of state follows the progression of power as outlined in the GIA. This follows the ratification of martial law, also spelled martial law, declared by the global military generals. Okay, and this progression of office is an essential step to the restoration of the planet and returning of governance to the people. Funding will now be provided to the newly appointed state assemblies as the new representatives. All agencies will need to apply for clearances and or positions with the Global Intelligence Agency Office of the Directorate. Funds are, went up too far. Funds are available to ensure the smooth transition and restoration of those areas which have been severely damaged by the false representation of the people. Funds have also been designated for emergency, shelter, food, safe harbor, and to assist all those in need of services. Okay. Many will be surprised by these actions. We assure you that through great and exhaustive actions, power has been restored to the people, and that you must now do your part and step up. So that's what we're doing as IAPA Charter. We're stepping up. We set up our body of governance, and we are actually doing this as one of the protocols or mandates or comply with this, so that we can be representatives of ourselves in this new assembly setup. The people hereby assume full governance of themselves with all the rights contained therein, facilitated and empowered by Kimberly Ann Gogan, the interim head of state. So I wanted to get that over with so that you can see that. And okay, so again, I want to show you that this is what we did here, as this is our website. This is our seal. This is where you can find it. You can find it at IAPA Charter age.wordpress.com. Okay. And so on this also, our website, we've included, our notice, and we've included this, which is the Declaration of Independence for living beings of Earth. This is something that was put forth by the, Global Peace and Restoration Consortium as like a new Declaration of Independence on July 5th of 2021. So I'm going to read through this just because to give you some background about what's going on and to update you on the things that you need to understand or overstand, as to why, we all need to refocus our attention in terms of getting, moving forward. Okay, so this says, the people that reside on the planet include all conscious living beings, meaning that they are able to discern between good and evil and think for themselves, identify what makes them happy or sad, contribute to their unique qualities, recognize the value of others, and exist peacefully because of their awareness of reality. We, the people, were inspired with self-awareness from birth, imbued with the gift of free will, and created from and by the ultimate source, substance, limits, bounds, essence, and origin of all things. Our existence is unique for every individual while still existing within a codependent ecosystem of cooperation, each contributing to assist with one another's mutual needs. All contractual agreements require that all parties comprehend the full scope of the benefits and consequences and freely consent to fairly operate within the limits and bounds of said agreement. With full transparency, applied or silent consent is never an option for a lawfully, legally binding agreement in accordance to the laws of the land, regardless of any circumstance. Any form of assumed, implied, or silent consent is not permitted. I want to talk about that just a little bit to explain what that means. Basically, the previous government, the United States government, and all the subsequent agencies and NGOs that are related to it would do things and take what they call custodialship over the people based upon the idea that the people agreed, yet the people knew nothing about it. But they could say, well, we told the people. Well, how did you tell the people? Well, we gave them a movie. We put it in a book. We did this and we did this. We showed you on CNN. Okay, which that's not really telling you directly what's going on, but they could claim that you knew something about it. Like, for example, if you watched a movie about zombie apocalypse or viruses being released, or, a movie like Cell where they use frequency through telephone, or what they call 5G networks to scramble your brain and change your DNA and all this kind of stuff. They could say, well, we told you what we're going to do because we showed you that in the movie and you watched the movie and so forth. And so you can't say that you didn't know nothing about it, you know. Well, the thing about that is that the movie, we thought it was all fiction. Although in reality, it was their plan, and they're giving you their plan, they plan on what they're planning on doing to you. So when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands and the binding agreements that have connected them to one another, and to assume the powers of the earth, separate, unique, and equal station of law and the source of all nature, requires that they should declare the reasons and causes that have caused the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created free and independent, and that they are imbued with their source of creator, that certain is unalienable rights, and that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These rights are innately present in every one from the inception of birth by the source, and cannot be removed by individual or entity. To secure these rights, governments are instituted amongst the living beings, deriving their just power through the consent of the governed, meaning that, okay, put this here. Meaning that that any group of living beings organized to act in the best interest of the people of the planet and the individual servants to the public in form or other, and only have the power to influence the organization so long as the people allow and endorse it, and said organizations is responsible to accurately represent the concerns and decisions of the people on any matter which is said body of government is involved. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter and abolish it and institute a new government, laying the foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. When a long train of abuses and usurpations is manifest by the acting fiction of government, with clear intentions to establish a ruling class of subjugation, placing the people under despotism, it is the people's right and responsibility to throw off that government and to provide new guardians for their safety and the security of their freedom. Such has been the patient sufferance of the people, and such is now the necessity which empowers us to alter our form of system of government control. The history of the present order, that's talking about the New World Order, the Illuminati, and all these trilateral commissions and all that, which is a history of abuse, neglect, murder, and ignorance, had the objective to establish an absolute tyranny over the countries and the living souls that reside therein. To prove this, let us be submitted to the world in complete transparency. The order has refused to enforce or abide by laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public. The public in this case refers to the collective consciousness of living beings regardless of their status as otherwise defined. The order has forbidden the people's representative to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance for the good of the living beings and has instead implemented control mechanisms to manage the lifespan of the people, never allowing them to thrive or exceed in their abilities without the submission to oppression, mandates, codes, and ordinances. The order has withheld essential scientific and historical information to sculpt the people's beliefs, comprehensions, and actions in a manner that has been destructive to the individuals and groups who trusted in the integrity of the acting government to provide them with essential information in an accurate and honest manner. The order has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing the people into compliance with the order's measure. The order has manipulated every election to create the illusion that the votes of the people decide who would be represented, who will represent them as members of the government, while at the same time hand selecting the most obedient candidates as the representatives of their interests rather than those of the people. The order has ruled with absolute indifference towards the well-being of the people and with utter disregard to the qualities most important to the people. The order has endeavored to prevent the population of the world from uniting around common values by dividing groups, lands, and ideals with the creation of false religions, threats of war, and racial divides that do not exist naturally. The order has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing to enforce penalties for violation of laws equally according to crimes regardless of social status. The order has made judges, lawyers, servants of a secret order that only serves in the best interest of the order and does so at the expense of the people, acting in the order's interest rather than as unbiased judges and representatives of lawful matters. The order has kept among us in times of peace a standing army without consent, cause, or approval of the people. These same standing armies have been used to wage war where there was no need to or purpose to do so, other than to increase the holdings, controls, and resources of lands of the elite hierarchy of the order. The order has made the military independent of and superior to civil power. The order has contributed with others to subject us to jurisdictions foreign to the laws of the land and impose mandates and policies to violate laws of nature, giving our power to foreign powers of pretend legislation over the natural endowed to us from birth and all that maintains the natural balance of the earth. The order has tracked us and prevented us from prosperity by the judgment as whether or not we were worthy or allowed to be wealthy based upon our willingness to submit to their oppressive and perverse version of government. The order has imposed taxes upon us without our consent or even the explanation of how the money was going to be used. The order has deprived us of many cases of benefits by trial jury. The order has raped and murdered our men, women, and children, and has harvested, sacrificed, and sold us into slavery for their profit and entertainment. The order has taken away our identity, sovereignty, and our freedom by abolishing our most valuable laws, altering our fundamental freedoms and the forms of our government that were change to uphold these rights. The order has replaced our free will, suspending our own laws and authority to self-govern by declaring themselves vested with power to legislate for us all in all cases whatsoever. The order has charged with the was charged with the safety, with the safe guardianship of the people and all that it means to be one of the people, but instead has weaponized information, resources, medicine, and all manner of things to wage war against us and within our communities, causing divisions amongst our friends and allies while presenting falsely that they were using these same weapons to protect us. The order has polluted our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, destroyed our lives, destroyed the lives of the people, just to blame the people for the conditions of the world's environment. The order has for centuries used armies of mercenaries to act as weapons of death, desolation, and tyranny, utilizing cruelty, malice, and deception, making it impossible for the people of any territory to feel free, safe, or live peacefully. The order has incited domestic insurrections among us, using media propaganda as a weapon to divide the people against one another by gender, age, race, religion, and ideology. The evil ruling class, often seen as the ruling elite of the order, are tyrants, unfit to rule the rule of a free people and to continue to hold any level of authority whatsoever. The order has consistently failed to honor the contracts and their expiration to abide by the enforce the laws of the land as understood by the people and to cease unwarranted jurisdiction over us. We therefore denounce any and all previous contract, covenants, treaties, or agreements of any kind that we, the people, once held with the order or any of their associate entities by any other name that functioned as an extension of their operations or under the governance in any way. We therefore, the representatives of the people of earth, by the authority of the good people of these countries, solemnly publish and declare that the people of the earth are free and independent, and that they are absolved of all forms of allegiance to the crown and the order, and to that all control of any kind is ordered immediately dissolved, and that as a free and independent people, we have the full power to create peace, form alliances, establish commerce, protect our freedoms, defend our rights and responsibilities, and to live free and independent without limitations, so long as we do not do so at the cost of other people with the same rights. So I wanted to read that because basically that is the reason why we have created assemblies. IAPA Charter, Ohio de jure Assembly is falling in line with this. We agree with this. This is why you can find this on our website. You go to the website and read this, and there's some other information that's also here that you can look at and read and get an understanding of that. We also have addresses and phone numbers, that you can reach us by when you come here. Now, I keep saying IAPA Charter, so let me go over what that is. And of course, let me go to the top first. This is the IAPA Charter. And basically, it's very similar to what we just read in the Declaration, but this is the actual official charter. And I want to just show up here that the charter is a sovereign declaration of self-governance. So we read that. And so I want to go down here and basically read what the IAPA Charter is and what the mission of the charter is to, planet preservation, restoration, spiritual freedom, prosperous pursuits, and happiness. The IAPA Charter members do here recognize and proclaim what is evident, that all life originates from one signature source pattern, and every Aboriginal human person is sovereign, naturally conceived, born free of governing authorities or societal permissions, granted life, energetically through the energetic life force, and is born of Aboriginal spirit and nature, I source and I creator, which is outside the will of the parents. What that means is that all of us are born, and we are born, who are born, it's not necessarily that our parents wanted us at that time. Maybe your mother didn't want you, or your father didn't want you, but you were born anyway. So this is the grant of life that you was given, not from your parents, but from the original spirit, what we call the great spirit of nature, the source, I source, and I creator. That through this energetic grant, so I and I became sovereign, came to be a sovereign person. That the sovereign person, through the struggle and achievement, energetically became one human gender person. In other words, you are a sovereign being, whether you are a male or a female. Sovereignty is not based upon your gender. That the sovereign person energetically conceived in the womb of the mother remains there up to 9 months until birth. That the sovereign person after birth is nurtured for 12 months before it's recognized, we'll recognize it in the assembly. That the sovereign person is recognized and proclaimed 22 months from their conception, of about 14 months after birth. That the sovereign person energetically conceived is free of tribal, national, and corporate, public, and all private interests, meaning that a baby is not the property of a tribe, a nation, a corporation, the public, or any other private interest. That the sovereign person is conceived free and shall not be held as chattel under any hierarchy, or as unemancipated, or a debt set, or for a debt settlement, or used as leverage, or ledgered, or sold as property. In other words, we can't use our babies and our children to, put someone else in jail or to take their property from them and so forth. This is the IAPA Charter, what it's talking about. That the sovereign person energetically conceived is free and equal with these unalienable rights. So the IAPA Charter Ohio de jure Assembly members recognize and proclaim what is evident, that I, every sovereign person's rights are inalienable and free, unconditionally granted by the original spirit and nature, I source and I creator, and agree upon by the sovereign persons, members of the IAPA Charter Assembly, Ohio de jure Assembly included. That the inalienable rights are free and equal of the sovereign person are accepted by the assembly. That the free and equal, inalienable, free and equal rights of the sovereign person are reflected in the governance of our assemblies. That the inalienable rights, free and equal rights of the sovereign person are recognized and protected by this assembly. That the inalienable rights, free and equal rights of the sovereign person proclaimed also correspond with the National Committee of Safety Global Directorate of which is the resolution of one accord, and in accord with the Declaration of Independence of living beings on the planet. We read that above, Earth. Also the Ohio Constitution of 1803, the joint resolution admitting Ohio to the Union August of 7th of August, 1953, and the Declaration of Independence, the organic constitution, the Bill of Rights. So basically we're saying that, you know, any rights that correspond with the right of the sovereign person in any of these other documents, we kind of go along with that too. We're just reiterating the fact that the individual sovereign person has universal declarations of rights, and it is evident that we have a right to life on this planet as sovereign persons, to freedom on this planet as sovereign persons, to privacy, to health coverage, to legal coverage, to financial coverage, to act, think, travel freely on this planet as sovereign persons, to grow food and preserve, manage, and cultivate land resources, shelter, water, and organic plants and livestock. We have a right to education, professional training, to research and to develop new technologies and alternative energies, improvement of resources. We have a right to professional careers and to do business and global commerce, and to all subsequent rights as precluded in the Bill of Rights of the U.S. and all subsequent declarations, meaning all those declarations that we just read, you know, we have a right to. Also, we have down here at the bottom, this is that the effective, the resolution of one accord, and I'm gonna click onto this. You can go to our website, you can download all these things if you want to be involved. And it gives you all the details, what the resolution of one accord is here. And on the very end is places you can sign, and you can send it to our, you can mail it to us. We have our PO box and everything there too. So you can mail it to us there. Okay, so let me go back to this here. Like I said, she talks about that there were contracts that expired, and I think she said these contracts that were held by these elite, you know, the held and controlled by the elite. Many of these are contracts that expired. And like I said, I read, you know, the notice that she put forth on them. But the contracts she talks about on a website, which is called the UNN website. And this is the area that she talks about all these expired contracts. There were two major contracts that she discusses. And you can go to the website. We're going to try to put a link on these, you know, on our page, so that if you want to see it, you can go there and see that. Let me get back here. And I just want to kind of summarize this, and we're going to end this little thing, but as a messenger of the IAPA Charter Jure Assembly, I take this role very seriously. And, all this stuff is, I know it's a lot of information, and some of it's sometimes facts is far stranger than fiction. So we want to just share with you as much as we can, quite frankly, as quickly as we can, but there's a lot of information. So it's taking a little bit longer. But, we've been like the canaries in the cave as Aboriginal people on the planet, meaning that just like when men take go into, the miners would go into the caves to do something, they take little birds with them so that if the bird died, they know that the air was not, it was poison, and they would get, they clear out the cave, try to save their lives. So we're like that. We're the ones who are going to be there, the first to fall, the first to die, and all of that. And of course, when she talks about that these contracts that were being used, King Solomon, she's claiming that she's sitting in the same seat as King Solomon was sitting in, where he had control of the global repository. He was a guardian of the planet. Okay, well, all that stuff is biblical. And of course, the question is she telling the truth? Do you believe her? I would tell you this. I believe her only because of the experience I had, that she put out a video. Let me go back to this one so you can see. She put out Life Force. I mean, they have these meetings every week, and on the United Network News, they kind of put the stuff out, and I'm gonna show you the one that she put forth. Let's see if I can get it to move here. Okay. No, I'm not trying to do that. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. They have meetings, right? And one of the meetings, they're having a live update tomorrow. Okay, which is good. In case y'all want to see that, you might want to go and check that out. But these meetings, I want to go to this one right here, which was on the 30th of November. Now, in this particular one, which I'm not going to play, but I just wanted to show you where it is. She talked about how she was able to recover the sphere of destiny, the orb and everything. And basically what I want to tell everyone is that we live in a multiverse. What does that mean? Well, what it means to me is that sometimes, as people, we don't realize what's going on around us. In other words, it's just like, when you're like, if you were an ant in a colony of ants, and you could have people like us standing above you, watching you, and you know, you're not aware of it because you basically busy doing your ant thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it is with us. You know, we are out here uh, and there's stuff going on around us and we don't really know what's going on. Okay, so well, I gotta, let's see if I can do this. Just trying to make this smaller. Okay. Okay. Well, anyway, she talked about how she got the orb, but you know, some of us are clairaudient, some of us are clairvoyant. Clairvoyance mean, you know, your clear vision, you can see, some people can actually see energy and auras on, you know, around people. They can see what they call ghosts. They can see visions, you know, of the future and things like that. And then some people, like myself, are clairaudient, which means we can hear. We can hear things that are going on different frequencies, different levels, and so forth and so on. Some of it is actually natural, but some of it is also technological. Okay. When you hear people who say, well, I got hear voices in my head, or people are talking to me, they're going, and see, they made movies about that too. Jamie Foxx played in one called The Soloist, where they attacked him and drove him insane. You got a lot of people who have been driven insane, put into psychiatric wards, given psychotropic drugs, and their whole life was destroyed. They were institutionalized, and many of them died. I even have many of my own friends and relatives who have gone through this. They were first brilliant people, and then all of a sudden something happened to them. Nobody could explain it. And they're like, oh, they went crazy. They started claiming they were hearing voices. They were doing this, doing that. You have people who that happens to. They go around beginning to, you know, shoot people in malls, shoot people in schools. And, you know, they tell them that, well, the devil told me to do this, or the spirits told me to do this. And sometimes it could be spirits, but other times it could be men who have been using the technology that she talks about in that video on the 11th, on November 30th. Okay, and it's real important that you understand that every time you hear about people losing their minds or they're hearing voices, blah, 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 it's not necessarily that they're crazy. They're experiencing things that are part of the multiverse. And just because you haven't experienced it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means you haven't experienced it yet. And usually by the time you experience it, or you become a victim of that kind of siege, or, you know, that hive attack, you know, you're being attacked and no one knows it but you. And if you're not what you call anchored, or you're not balanced, then you can lose it. You can lose it, and that's what they do. Now, what she was able to reveal, because I had been personally in a standoff with some of these forces for 34 years, since 1987, actually. And what's so incredible about that is that when you think about it, you know, that's, if I were a prisoner That's like a life sentence, you know, but I hadn't committed any crime, you know. People, and I'm not going to go into all the different versions of, ruses and incidents of, attacks that I experienced over this time, but I can only tell you that I understood that this was some kind of technology. I understood that these were not ghosts, these were not spirits, but these were men. And what she revealed on the meeting in 11, November 30th, was who these forces were, because a few weeks before I listened to that, because I was there live when she presented it, but about a week and a half before that, I heard one of the voices, because I only think I would inquire of them every day for all this time and say, who are you guys? And what are you here for? And I never got an answer. So after about a year into it, I'm like, okay, they ain't my friends. So that's one thing I do know. They're not here to help me or to put me in a higher state of existence or consciousness or anything. They're trying to do something to take something from me. So I just chose not to yield to that. But that was, back in the 80s, and now we're up in here in 2020, 21, 22. So all these years, I've been kind of like on a standoff. And like I said, I can give you, I've had literally, hundreds of thousands of so-called poltergeist experiences. But let me cut to the chase. This is not really about me. What it's about is that on that particular day, is around the Thanksgiving time, I heard one of these guys say, "We've lost the orb." And that was, for me, the first time, the first break in 34 years that I realized, I said, these guys are looking for something other than just attacking me, and beginning to realize that, okay, this is something going on. And when I listened to her video, when she says, hey, we got your spirit, we got your orb, and you got the, what do you call the stargates and all that, I was like, oh man, listen to that, because I heard them say it about a week and a half before, and then she reported it, in her next meeting, and it just confirmed for me that whatever she was talking about, there was some relevance to it. And the evidence, I have the evidence because I know what I knew, what I heard. And then when she revealed that this is a secret space force, the NSA, then it begins to put all the puzzles together for me. And as a people, we need to realize that this government and all these, these bodies of institutions that she's talking about, they are have been relieved. These people who are simply, mercenary in their whole activities, they do things with impunity. They have no respect for human life or the lives of their own, lives of Americans in general. And you got to think about all the millions of people whose lives have been destroyed, and all the millions of families who have committed their sons and daughters to institutions, to be used and destroyed, because you got people playing games, like she said, like the whole thing for their entertainment, or they're thinking they're demigods, or they're thinking that they're better than you, and they can do these things to you just because, and nobody knows it, because the problem is that you attack individually. You're not attacked as a group, So all of this has been going on. The people are able to, you think that you got a right to, you all this stuff on the surface in their laws, they tell you got a right to privacy, you got a right to this, you got a right, you don't have a right to any of that because they have technology that can supersede all of that. And that's precisely what what's his name? I can't remember the name his name right now, but he, went into exile in Russia, and he was talking, he was one of the, sons and daughters. He was a son of the deep state. He grew up in it, and then he exposed, what they were doing, by releasing those files to WikiLeaks. But showing that how the NSA and these people are going into the, into Americans' homes and doing all these criminal activities and so forth. So this is why this has happened. We are at a place where we have to realize that these individuals, these criminals, which I call them, have been in a position where they can come in, attack people, destroy their lives, and put them in situations where they can lose their minds. And there's no one to help you because, no one else can hear it. No one else can see. They can show you things and make you think that something is going on. And then if you turn to your next door neighbor and say, did you see that? Or did you hear that? They say, no, what are you talking about? And you get involved with enough of that, and you get so discombobulated yourself, and you start panicking around it. The next thing you know, you're locked up in a padded cell, and they done shot you with some kind of psychotropic drug, and they done put you in a situation where they're using you again. And these are nothing but human beings playing with you like you're a toy. So I also realized through that they do this to certain people because they have certain genetic codes. Because this technology, understand that they're not using technology that they created. They're using ancient technology like this, like I say, the Chair of Solomon, all that. They talk about it in things like Stargate, where they talk about these weapons that need the ancient gene to activate. People, human beings, they produce an energy that they sell, through the multiverse. When I'm talking about the multiverse, I'm talking about other planets, other life forms, other dimensions that people live on. For example, you've heard of, some of you anyway, have heard of adrenochrome. The adrenochrome is a blood substance that they say the rich and the most elite drink, just like vampires. But the best is that which is, from the innocent child who has been terrorized. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but they've claimed that there are videos out of Hillary Clinton and Uma Abedin where they're torturing this young Black girl, tied her to a tree, cut her face off, and slit her throat, and all kinds of other things, to get her in a state of fear. And once they got her in that state of fear, they finally killed her as a sacrifice, cut out her pineal gland, and half of them, one ate half of it and gave it to the other. But you got stars who who drink this. And then they got this, what they call loosh, that is being emitted as well, that they're able to power, these other systems with, the stargates and so forth and so on. So when she talks about that in these videos, I need you to go to them and listen to her. Do I believe her? Yes, I believe her, because like I said, I heard them say it, and then a week and a half later, I heard her say she got it. They said they lost it, and then she said she got it. So that, to me, put it all together. And then she told me, well, that's the NSA. That's the Secret Space Force. This is what she says in there. So I'm like, oh, okay. Now I know who these guys are. I didn't know who they were. They were Luciferian, NASA types, Space Force types. So I'm saying all that just to say that we as a people, we need to, first of all, wake up, become aware of the forces that are around us. And, especially when it comes to this situation, because these people, these thieves, these billionaires and trillionaires, basically they have the same agenda, like I said, the billionaires they were billionaires before the pandemic. Now they're trillionaires after the pandemic. Last year, the Rolls-Royce company sold more vehicles in 2021 than they sold in the entire existence of their company. So in other words, they're gathering money while the poor are getting poorer, the rich are getting richer. And the only way we can fight them, the only way we can resist them, is that we come together as sovereign people on the planet, because it's not that many of them in comparison. There's, like they say, they ain't even 1%. But we have to come together as people and realize that, number one, two things. These people don't have any love for you. They don't have any interest in your continuation. They are actually trying to kill you all. And they're going to do that if we don't take, like you say, come up and take our rightful role as a sovereign people of this planet. We have to do these things. We have to become greater than what our culture has asked us to be. In other words, if you're a white supremacist, or, some kind of, any kind of racial person who is just about, well, I don't trust these people, I don't trust that people. Well, you know what? All of that has to do with, an aspect. But globally speaking, human beings, we all live on one planet, and it's like a fishbowl. We all breathe the same air, we all drinking the same water, and so forth and so on. So the water needs to be clean, you see, and available. You see, the air needs to be clean and available. You see, all these things are necessary. You got these secret space where they're still burning up, forests and all of this using rays. You got, these different forms of governments that are going into other people's lands and territories and cutting up and taking all their resources from them and trying to enslave everybody. Well, this is over with. So as a people, we have to come together. If true power belongs to the people, we cannot and will not rule unless we take the reins of kings and queens as sovereigns. So on the 5th of February, the Global Peace and Restoration Consortium will be holding the first consortium of assemblies for the people in the US. And so we hope that you can be a part of that. That's what we're trying to be a part of, to come up with solutions that will be practical and beneficial to all of us. You know, you got so many people who are homeless, poor, and in situations that need to be corrected. And the government, as it's been proven, is not there for you. So we have, for the first time, someone who basically, again, was appointed, you know, of course, by them at first, because like I said, we're moving into a feminine time, and she was a feminine woman, she was a female, and but she was, the difference was she decided that she wasn't going to play along with the genocide plan, and they want to eliminate her as much as they want to eliminate the rest of us. And so until we understand that it's not necessarily about, you know, who you are or where you think you came from, but it really is about who's interested in living life and moving forward as humanity, then this is the only way we can do this. So with that, we're going to kind of end this little conference, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you and peace.
Yeah, family, friends, and foes. Activate. Yeah. Squash East Side. Shade Black. Chico paying 6 million. I said I'm African. I can everything. Many trust was in. What? Target everything. That's right. One with everything. Overcome. That means I'm one for all. One for the family. Nothing. That's why I can be.